Hello, boys and girls. It is me, your friendly neighborhood Dayan, a judge. My name is Dayan oNioN, Judge Onion. Anyway, that's why I'm wearing a talit over here, because a Jewish judge, a Dayan, has to wear a talit, because God is always above us, and our judgment is not from our own mind, it is from the wisdom of the Torah that we apply in each case. Well, we have quite a few serious mitzvot, 19 mitzvot in Perek Chavbet, that's chapter 22, or chapter oNioN, or oNioN. And anyway, I would like to tell you about all of these mitzvot. But there's a lot. So, boys and girls, I'm going to go a little quickly, and I'm sure that when you're older and you study more, you're going to learn in depth and detail. The first one I'm going to tell you is a very serious case. It's when somebody kills somebody else. But when they come before the Dayan, it's not considered murder in this case. How can this be? Well, unfortunately, if someone is a thief and is breaking into someone's house in the middle of the night, and the owner of the house fortunately catches the thief breaking in and has a chance to kill the thief before the thief comes into the house. In that situation, if the owner of the house, God forbid, has to kill the thief, I, the Dayan, will not punish this owner of the house for murder. Very simply because the owner of the house is scared for his own life. Perhaps the thief who's coming in is ready to kill him to avoid getting caught. However, if the owner of the house knew for sure that the thief would not kill them, like if the thief happened to be their father, and we all know that a father would never kill a child, then we would not be allowed to kill that thief. Also, if the sun was shining, it was daytime, there were witnesses, there were people there, and he did not have to kill the thief, of course he should not kill the thief, and he would be guilty if he did. And that is the first very unfortunate law in Perek Chavbet, chapter 22. Now let me take you to some other interesting cases in my case book of law over here. Another interesting case is the case of lighting fires. Okay, remember Smokey the Bear says that you should not light fires. You can cause great damage. If somebody lights a fire and that fire spreads and gets bigger and bigger and ends up destroying people's property, guess who has to pay? The person who lit the fire. That's right. Only in the case where they lit a fire they were allowed to light, like a campfire or a house fire for warming themselves, and they actually guarded it by taking appropriate fire safety measures, such as building rocks around the fireplace or other types of ways that everyone knows should normally protect against fire, and then a freak accident happened, then at the discretion of the Dayan, that's me, we might decide that the person is not guilty if they really guarded that fire and it was a crazy accident. But if you light a fire, be prepared to watch that fire and put it out until you are certain it is out, or you will be held responsible. Now the next law is a very interesting law. It's the law of the Arba Shomrim, the 4 guardians. Yes, that's right. The Torah makes a guard responsible for the thing that they are guarding. Okay, so let's simplify this. As a Dayan, I like to use this handy chart to know what to do. You see, there are 4 types of guardians. There is the Shomer Chinam, someone who does you a favor and he guards for free. He doesn't ask to get paid. Well, if that object will get stolen or lost by some type of accident, then they will not have to pay. But if the person was careless and negligent, then they will have to pay. And if there was an accident, it's not his fault. Again, he does not have to pay because he's doing you a favor. Well, what if he is a shomer sachar? You're paying them to watch your property. Well, in that case, then if it gets stolen or lost, you will have to pay. You should have guarded it better. If you were careless and negligent, you have to pay. If it was an accident, however, you will not have to pay. You did the best you could. However, the shoel is the borrower, and the shoel is getting all the benefit. Please let me borrow it, and he doesn't pay you anything. Well, sorry, Mr. Shoel, you always have to pay, whether it's stolen, if he's careless, of course, and even in an accident, because he borrowed it, and he's got to give it back exactly as he got it. And finally, the socher, the renter. Well, there's a discussion in the Gemara about it, but the bottom line is that we treat the socher, according to the Gemara Baba Kama, page 93a, just like a shomer sachar, and therefore he does not pay for accidents. However, if it's stolen or lost, or he's careless and negligent, he will have to pay. That's a lot of information for a short time and a short video, but please keep this in mind, that this is why you have to come to a dayan, to a judge, a dayan oNioN like me, and I will teach you all of the laws if you ever have any issues like this. Okay. The next law that we are going to be learning about in chapter 22, Perek Chaf Bet, is the law of the mefateh. We all know that these days we have special laws regarding marriage. That's correct. If somebody wants to get married, first of all, we have what's called a special ceremony where they make a chuppah, and the chatan gives the kala a ring, and then there is a document that is signed, witnesses, that makes the chatan obligated to give the kala basic support, etc. Well, what happens if this chatan tries to make a little trick? It's not a little trick, it's actually a big trick. It's a very, very terrible thing. This is called a mefateh. A mefateh is a man who decides that he's going to marry a woman, but he's not going to give her the ring and the marriage document and the chuppah ceremony. He's just going to convince her to marry him without all of these things. Well, the Torah says that is not allowed, and this man must be punished. He must be forced, if the woman and her parents agree, of course, that he must give her all of these things, and he is never allowed to divorce her because he tried to trick her like this. However, if the woman and her father decide this guy is a real tricky guy, we don't want to marry him, well then he must pay a fine of 50 shekels, which is about equal to the amount that he would have had to pay if he were marrying an unmarried girl. And that is the law of the mefateh. Now, there are some things which are not tolerated by the Torah, and those are, people who engage in witchcraft and sorcery and idol worship. The Torah says that we must put these people to death if they are warned and practice these terrible things. They are not tolerated and they must be put to death. So, we're not speaking about people who are making magic shows, of course. We're speaking about people who engage in the practices of witchcraft, speaking to the dead. And basically, this is something we don't find much these days, but there is a impure type of practice and powers that Hashem made in the world, and Hashem commands us not to be involved in anything like this or allow it to go on in our places where we live. And then I will tell you that there are some people that we need to be very extra sensitive how we treat them. First of all, there is a ger, a convert, someone who is not Jewish, and he goes through, or he or she goes through all the difficulties. They come to the dayan, like me, and they want to study all the Torah, and they go through the whole conversion process, and they dip in the mikveh, and they accept to keep all of the mitzvot of Hashem. Well, if they really go through all of that, that's so difficult, we should have respect for them. And we should also know that they are feeling very sensitive because they are separated from their families and they are coming and joining a new people. and we need to treat them with extra sensitivity and be very careful not to hurt them or insult them or take advantage of them in any way, because we have to remember that we were strangers in the land of Egypt, and we know that we did not like how that felt. The same thing would apply for people who are not very sensitive because of things that happen to them in their life, like a yatom and an almana, a widow and an orphan, someone who their father passed away. A widow is a lady whose husband passed away, or a yatom is an orphan whose both parents or one parent passed away. We need to have extra care for them because they're very sensitive after what they're going through. And the Torah warns us, you must be careful to treat everybody respectfully, but these people, do not mess with them because I, Hashem, am taking extra care of them. And finally, the Torah teaches us about some laws about lending money. It's a great mitzvah to lend somebody money. However, if you lend somebody money, you are not allowed to add on a plus after the money. You're not allowed to charge interest, right? So here's the malveh, the lender, and the lova, the borrower. The malveh is very happy in this picture because he's charging extra interest. That is forbidden, absolutely not allowed by the Torah. No charging extra money. If you lend him $100, he pays you only $100, not 101. Also, you may not oppress him. You may not come and harass him and say, give me my money every day if you know that he doesn't have it. That is just oppression, and that is not the Torah way. And the same way, if you see that they're very poor, even if you're worried you're not going to get your money back, you may not go and take security from them. Security means like you take something that if they don't give it back to you, then you'll keep that object of value. You cannot take something that they need to live. Like if they're a worker and they have a tool that they need to earn their living, you may not take it away from them. If they are very poor and they have only one blanket to sleep with, you may not take their blanket, even though you think, well, I have to be sure to get my money back. But that is really, really hurting and making them suffer because that's all that they have, and they will cry out to Hashem. Finally, the Torah ends off the chapter telling us we have to respect those dayanim, those judges and kings that rule over us. That's right, respect your dayan, oNioN, and you're not allowed to curse a judge or a nasi, a leader or a king. You must, when you have newly grown grain in your fields, you must give a portion to the Kohen, and this is called teruma, and you must also give maaser, a tenth, to the Levi. Some years you give another tenth to poor people, and some years you give that same tenth, go to Yerushalayim and make a celebration and eat it in Yerushalayim and thank Hashem for all He has given you. The last law is the law of a Bechor Behema. A Bechor Behema is a firstborn animal, and just like God saved the firstborns in Egypt, well, we celebrate that and thank God by giving our firstborn animals to the Kohen as a gift to thank God for saving all of our firstborns, both people and animals, in Egypt, because not only the firstborn people died in Egypt, also the firstborn animals. Thank you very much for paying attention to your Dayan oNioN. Oh, if you're wondering about a silly story, I am the silly story. I am an oNioN, an onion, because chapter 22 is chapter onion. As you can see, the vowels don't count, and the N's are really flipped over twos for N 22. Chapter 22 is chapter onion or oNioN, and it's me signing off. Dayan oNioN. Thank you for listening to this installment about the laws of Mishpatim, Jewish laws between Adam leChavero, between people.